The Evolution of Shawn Michaels. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. The Rockers 1988 to 1992, where Shawn Michaels started his career as a tag team specialist with Marty Jannetty as the Rockers. They made their full-time WWE debut in 1988. The Rockers were a flashy group from the colourful ring attire to their exciting high-flying style, and it was hard not to be entertained by the pure babyface duo. They had a brief unofficial reign as the Rockers beat the Hart Foundation during a taped show, but that win was erased when Jim Neidhart re-signed with the company. The Rockers' stint ended in one of the most iconic segments ever in television, which saw Shawn Michaels knock out his partner's teeth down his throat and sent him flying through the glass window of Bruce Beefcake's barbershop set. The Heartbreak Kid 1992 to 1995. Shawn Michaels became the Heartbreak Kid, a cocky and vain pretty boy who wasn't anything like his rocker persona. Michaels had a mix of George Michael and a classic 90s rocker, as he wore special sunglasses and earrings with a leather jacket, but the signature heart in his attire was present throughout his run. The color of his pants always shifted, but Michaels mostly wore white. Michaels wasn't a flashy high flyer like his time with the Rockers. His moves became more grounded and technical, with some stalling and cocky taunting to complete his moveset. But this is when the future Hall of Famer had a star-making run with Diesel that ended up seeing the pair fight at WrestleMania 11 after Michaels won the 1995 Royal Rumble. Michaels would lose that night and disappear from television for a good time. The Click Influence 1995 to 1997. Michaels returned white hot as a fan favorite babyface and won the Intercontinental Championship quickly. Michaels nicely mixed his high-flying and technical abilities throughout his babyface run. He won the Royal Rumble again in 1996, then he and Bret Hart went out and delivered a classic at WrestleMania 12. This match and title win cemented his status as the company's top babyface. The Heartbreak Kid held onto it for a spectacular 231 days before dropping it to Psycho Sid at Survivor Series. Michaels regained it at the 1997 Royal Rumble, but he didn't keep it for long. That's because he cut his infamous "I Lost My Smile" promo. Reportedly, Michaels didn't want to drop the belt to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. The two reportedly had some bad blood behind the scenes, which played a huge role into one of the Attitude Era's most memorable moments down the line. D-Generation X 1997 to 1998. Michaels returned shortly after WrestleMania after his stint as a babyface continued, until he turned heel against the British Bulldog at One Night Only in England. The arrogant Hellraiser returned on screen, but Michaels would get into a feud that would ultimately test his new heel character, The Undertaker. The two feuded mostly in the summer and fall, with their first ever Hell in a Cell match at the In Your House Bad Blood pay-per-view, putting an end to it. After that huge victory, Shawn Michaels joined forces with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, aka Triple H, Chyna, and Rick Rude as D-Generation X. The days of the rockstar glasses and broken hearts were gone. His attire changed to mainly black and green with the DX logo on his tights. The DX was a chaotic, I don't give two Fs type of group that defined the Attitude Era. This was also the time of the shocking Montreal Screwjob. There were mega heels that dominated WWE, but unfortunately, Michaels' place within it didn't last long. Commissioner 1998 to 1999. At the 98 Royal Rumble, Shawn Michaels suffered a severe back injury that forced him into retirement after losing the WWE Championship to Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14. But the Heartbreak Kid wouldn't stay away from WWE television for long, as he came back as the Commissioner on November 23, 1998. He joined the mega heel group that was dominating WWE at the time, the Corporation. Shawn was a stereotypical heel GM throughout late 1998 and early 1999, but there was no way that Vince was going to keep him and DX apart for long. Michaels turned face and rejoined DX, but he never wrestled during this period as well. He was written off WWE television for a couple of months to have back surgery, but by the time he came back, DX had disbanded. Michaels would make sporadic appearances until he handed over his role of commissioner to Mick Foley. Michaels was interested in putting his talents elsewhere by training the up-and-coming stars of professional wrestling. The return of the Heartbreak Kid 2002 to 2004. Michaels officially returned after a 4.5-year absence at SummerSlam 2002 and had a bloody battle against the King of Kings. He won, and originally that was supposed to be his one and final match. But the spirit of wrestling saw him come back at Survivor Series 2002 and win the first ever Elimination Chamber match for the World Heavyweight title in brown tights that only a mother could love. The old HBK was back, so was the signature Heartbreak attire and theme song, along with the babyface charms that won audiences over the 90s. Shawn would battle Triple H for over 2 years until their Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood put an official end to their long-standing rivalry. Heartbreak Kid No More 2005. As Shawn Michaels became a main fixture on the WWE brand, he fought and had incredible matches against veterans like Kurt Angle, but he also helped elevate new talents like Chris Masters, Carlito, and Shelton Benjamin. Shawn's attire evolved during this time as his tights were gone. He wore larger pants with integrated chaps with throwbacks of his little broken hearts on the belt area. Michaels was the perfect babyface foil for veterans and rising heels until the Heartbreak Kid stunned the world by superkicking Hulk Hogan out of the blue. Michaels would then cut an iconic promo trolling the Montreal crowd, who still hasn't forgiven him for the Montreal screwjob in 1997. Michaels is a straight up douchebag during his brief heel run against Hogan. His match against Hogan is iconic, but mainly for his Looney Tunes inspired selling. Backstage politics prevented this match from being the true showstopper that it could have been. Still, Michaels lost the battle and turned back to face by shaking Hogan's hand after the 1-2-3 was counted. The Generation X Reunion 2006 to 2007. With Shawn being a babyface again and Triple H heading down that route after his loss to John Cena at WrestleMania 22, it was natural that the two would reunite after feuding with Shane, Vince, and God. The Spirit Squad and the Big Show's ass is somewhere in there too. DX just never lived up to the unforgettable moments that helped define the Attitude Era, especially when a good majority of the group was gone. It didn't help that their early days saw them feuding with America's favorite male cheerleaders. The DX reunion got better when they stepped into a feud with Rated RKO, as there was some genuine meat to the story between these four men. The DX fizzled out when Triple H suffered a torn right quadricep injury during the match against Rated RKO at New Year's Revolution. Still, the duo occasionally teamed up throughout the remainder of Shawn's career. However, there's no denying that Shawn and Triple H had their moments every now and then. The last years of the Heartbreak Kid 2008 to 2010. Shawn remained a babyface throughout the remainder of his time on Raw. He was essentially the Undertaker of the Red brand. He was always treated as a top guy, but was mainly there to put over the next generation of talent. Shawn had some incredible moments, such as his match with Ric Flair or his shocking superkick to Triple H at Survivor Series 2009. But his final curtain call came at the hands of the dead man. Michaels and Taker had a certified classic at WrestleMania 25. These two would battle one more time, career versus the streak. Michaels would ultimately lose the match, forcing him to retire for good. Michaels stated that his decision to retire came before WrestleMania 25. He didn't want to miss the final years of his son Cameron and opted to bow out as an active wrestler. Michaels went out in top form. He could adapt to any wrestler's style while maintaining the core elements that got him over with the WWE audience. But in the world of professional wrestling, never say never when it comes to retirement. As his final run, the Hall of Fame failed comeback and NXT coach 2019. Shawn Michaels was officially inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame on April 2, 2011. He made occasional appearances in WWE and was even a special guest referee for the Triple H and Undertaker's incredible Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania 28. But the wrestling bug would get the better of Michaels, and he did return for one more match on November 2, 2018 at Crown Jewel. It was DX versus the Brothers of Destruction, and the match was a horrible mess. It had botches galore and proved that Father Time had got the best of these iconic wrestlers. Michaels would go on and get a second Hall of Fame induction with his DX buddies in April 2019. These days, the WWE Hall of Famer is quietly helping the next generation behind the scenes down in NXT, although he pops up on television every now and then to drop some more on with the sweet chin music. The complete evolution of The Undertaker. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Western Mortician, November 1990 to January 94. The Undertaker is one of the most revered legends to ever step inside a wrestling ring. A big reason for that is due to his ability to evolve throughout his lengthy career. Despite Undertaker's initial concerns about his gimmick before signing with the company in October 1990, his jaw-dropping debut as a Western Mortician immediately grabbed the attention of fans. Inspired by Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy Krueger, Taker was treated like a horror movie villain as he barely sold pain, moved very slowly, and cut some creepy and terrifying promos. But it wasn't just his mannerisms that caught the audience's attention, as his classic Western look with a black overcoat, Stetson hat with a grey ring, and black leather gloves stood out on the roster full of colourful characters. Taker was treated as an unbeatable force and beat Hulk Hogan for the WWE Championship nearly a year after his debut. Taker would switch into a babyface role in 1992 because he became one of the hottest acts on the roster that couldn't be ignored by fans. The Dead Man Darkness era, August 94 to October 96. Taker was a star and he had unforgettable battles against the Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Sid Vicious. But it was his feud with Yokozuna that saw the demise of his character at the 1994 Royal Rumble. But the Dead Man returned at SummerSlam 1994. Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees were no longer his style these days, so Taker switched up his style a bit by adding the color purple to his gloves, boot covers, and tie. A Phantom of the Opera style mask was added after King Mabel accidentally fractured his orbital bone. This stint is most infamous for Paul Bearer's shocking betrayal. He sided with Mankind and Taker went to war with the former WWE champion during the summer of 1996. Mankind put Taker to rest in the first ever Buried Alive match at In Your House in October 96. Lord of Darkness era, November 96 to December 98. Now of course, The Undertaker could never stay dead. He rose from the depths of hell just a month later at Survivor Series and came back with supernatural powers. Taker spotted all black leather attire and had a black teardrop painted below his right eye. He even wore bat wings, but that aspect of his attire was quickly scrapped. This was a prominent year as WWE decided to go the supernatural route with Taker's character. With a flick of his finger, Taker created lightning and started fires. You would think that this would be the weakest reign of his career, as the supernatural mumbo-jumbo was often hokey, but this era of Undertaker is fondly remembered. Taker had his first Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels, and finished off his iconic feud with Mankind as well. We also can't forget about his epic brother v brother rivalry with Kane. The supernatural nonsense wasn't a big factor because his work rate had vastly improved from years prior. He wasn't the slow and indestructible monster that he once portrayed as, but he was far from the vulnerable character he played in his later years. Taker was mainly a face during this period until Kane took a different approach in trying to murder his brother by putting him in a casket and setting him on fire in the 1998 Royal Rumble. Ministry of Darkness, January 99 to September 99. Not surprisingly, Taker came back with great vengeance and good old Paul Bearer returned by his side at the Judgment Day In Your House pay-per-view in October 98. But Taker's days as a fan favorite were soon numbered. The former WWE champion teased that dark days were coming to the WWE, and at the 1999 Royal Rumble, the Demon of Death Valley's transformation was complete. He made his debut in a black hooded robe with a goatee that Satan would love. The company was all in on the Ministry of Darkness, a satanic cult that saw mega heel Taker kidnap various WWE superstars and brainwash them to become his minions. Viscera, the acolytes of Bradshaw and Farouk, Edge and Christian, Gangrel and Midian were the prime members of the unforgettable faction. The Ministry of Darkness was a fun period that didn't last long, but Taker's dark descent into madness provided some of the best moments of the Attitude Era. American Badass, May 2000 to November 2001. After taking some time off recovering from an injury, Undertaker returned at Judgment Day 2000. But Taker wasn't wearing a hooded robe or bat wings, or anything that reminded audiences of the Dead Man. Taker returned as a badass biker, now dubbed the American Badass, and this gimmick was synonymous with Limp Bizkit's Rollin' song. To go with his badass persona, Taker wore glasses, a bandana, jeans shirt, and rode a motorcycle down to the ring. This persona was the first time that Taker felt human. He wasn't impervious to pain, nor was he cutting creepy promos. He was spitting tough guy lingo, and Taker was more a brawler who had his fair share of ass whoops throughout this run. This was also a time that he introduced the Last Ride, which was a replacement for the Tombstone Piledriver. Taker was a babyface who had no problem shaking your hand and throwing the first punch, but you can't be called the American Badass and not get your hands dirty every once in a while. Big Evil, November 2001 to November 2003. Taker wasn't meant to be the good guy for long, and this was the case when he forced Jim Ross to join Vince's exclusive Kiss My Ass Club. Taker still rocked the bandana and jeans, but the newly shaved hair cemented his heel turn. He no longer rode down to Limp Bizkit's Rollin', and he no longer had much respect for his fellow WWE stars. Big Evil Taker was a straight up bully, and he didn't give two craps about respect and would beat a man just for the fun of it. Taker still had that brawler powerhouse style as American Badass, but the vulnerability was a notable factor here. But that all changed during his WWE Undisputed Championship match against Jeff Hardy. He showed the kid some respect and would go on to have a legendary feud with Brock Lesnar. But some things will never change with The Undertaker, which means he needs to die once again. This time it was at the hands of Kane, who helped Vince McMahon bury him alive at Survivor Series 2003. Return of the Dead Man, March 14th, 2004 to June 1st, 2008. One can't keep a dead man down, and that was true when The Undertaker returned at WrestleMania 20, who was also accompanied by a returning pallbearer. Taker's attire was a mixture of his past personas. He wore his big evil attire but had a long leather trench coat and hat. His supernatural powers came and went, though it was never a big factor during his matches. But returning to the dead man means he wasn't as vulnerable as his big evil and American Badass run, though he wasn't treated as an invincible horror movie villain either. The dead man's return had some eye-rolling moments early on, especially his disposal of Paul Bearer at 2004 Great American Bash, but the character became the heart and soul of the Blue brand. Taker was the veteran who helped elevate younger talents like Randy Orton, Batista, and Edge, but he also tore the house down against established names like Kurt Angle. His streak also became part of his character for WrestleMania, and this was the lengthiest persona throughout Taker's run, and many consider it his best because he was firing on all cylinders during this period. The Last Outlaw, July 2008 to April 2014. The WWE found a creative way to take The Undertaker off television without having to kill the guy again. He returned to fight Edge at SummerSlam inside the Hell in a Cell. Taker's attire wasn't particularly different, though he cut most of his hair and sported a mohawk until 2014. Still a babyface, the WrestleMania streak was the most prominent thing about Taker during his period. He winded down his career as a full-time performer, but the veteran would steal the show with a series of bouts against Shawn Michaels and Triple H. However, the Last Outlaw was on his final legs as Taker had finally taken a loss at WrestleMania 30 against Brock Lesnar. With his streak dead and his career winding down, there were whispers that Taker was going to hang up his boots for good. However, Taker stated on the Broken Skull Sessions podcast that he didn't want to finish his career on a match that he didn't remember. The Gunslinger, February 2015 to November 2020. And Taker returned at WrestleMania 31 1 year later to fight his future Bray Wyatt. The presentation of the dead man saw him revert to the classic Western character, though his attire didn't particularly change from the previous era. Taker returned as a babyface in even fewer matches than his previous run. It was clear that Taker wasn't at the level he used to be, but the veteran was dead set on leaving out on a high note. Originally, Taker intended his match against Roman Reigns to be his final one, but the match was below his standards on wanting to end things. The torch was passed and the stage was set for his retirement, but as proven in his following matches against Triple H, John Cena, and Goldberg, Taker was not calling it quits until he found his perfect match. The problem with the Gunslinger era was that Father Time had gotten the best of Taker's body. This run was filled with plenty of botches, and it became clear that his speed was slower than normal. And finally, his retirement. Still sour about his performance against Goldberg at Super Showdown, Taker needed to find the right opponent that could cover his weaknesses and help him have a great match he could leave his legacy on. That final bout turned out to be against the phenomenal one AJ Styles. The match was originally scheduled to happen inside the ring, but then COVID-19 took over the world by storm. WWE decided to do something risky and made it a cinematic match. While these matches have gotten praise in Lucha Underground, WWE was on a bigger scale and there was no telling how the audience would react. Taker came out for one last ride in his old American Badass gear, and the cinematic aspect helped hide Taker's weaknesses. The different style of storytelling was a fun escape from traditional wrestling. Taker would return at Survivor Series 2020 to officially confirm his retirement, and he gave an emotional farewell speech, and a 10-bell salute honored the legacy of his character. A holographic image of Paul Bearer was also projected in the ring. 2 years later, The Undertaker would finally cement his legacy with an induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. The Evolution of Triple H. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. The Connecticut Blue Blood, 1995 to 1997. Fresh off his short stint in WCW, Hunter S. Helmsley brought over his gimmick from the promotion minus the French accent. Known as the Connecticut Blue Blood, Helmsley was a snobby aristocrat who knew a thing or two about wrestling. His vignettes showcase how to use proper etiquette until his television debut on April 30th, 1995. The heel elitist came out in an upper-class suit and came with a different eye candy every week. The pompous turncoat brought his old-school wrestling style to the Attitude Era by methodically picking apart his opponents in breeches and classic black boots. Helmsley looked the part, but his time as the Connecticut Blue Blood felt phony. He was effectively pushed on TV and even won the Intercontinental Championship, but the rising star was still finding his footing around this time, and being saddled with an outdated gimmick wasn't helping. D-Generation X 1997 to 1999. Helmsley started coming out of his shell after he won the 1997 King of the Ring and feuded with Mankind, but everything changed when he joined forces with Shawn Michaels, Chyna, and Rick Rude. Helmsley dropped his blue blood gimmick, trading in his suit and tie for shirts and leather, plus he officially became known as Triple H. The sarcastic Hellraiser pushed the boundaries of WWE television, and DX was an instant success for the future COO. DX feuded with top names such as the Hart Foundation, Nation of Domination, and the Corporation, with him notably getting into a heated rivalry against The Rock for the WWE Championship. He would lose after being stabbed in the back by the Ninth Wonder of the World, but that was just the beginning of a new chapter in Triple H's career. The McMahon-Helmsley era, 1999 to 2001. But Triple H would end up turning heel on DX at WrestleMania 15. He first reunited with China following his match with Kane, then he betrayed X-Pac that same evening by costing him his match against Shane McMahon. The rebellious and fun-loving Triple H was no more. Instead, we got a sadistic douchebag who had no qualms about smashing a face with no good reason. Triple H's focus was simple. He wanted the WWE Championship around his waist. To show that he meant business, he taped his fists and sported a new haircut and shorter wrestling tights. This was when he officially adopted the Game moniker. Triple H would officially win his first WWE Championship in late 1999. When the new century rolled around, he was already a 3-time WWE Champion. To further cement his top position, Triple H not only feuded with Vince McMahon, but he had Stephanie McMahon as his love interest. This began the McMahon-Helmsley era. One could argue that this was the strongest period for Triple H as an in-ring competitor. He was on top form here, but it also helped that he had opponents such as Mick Foley, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and The Rock. But it would all come crashing down on May 21st, 2001 when he tore his left quadricep, an injury that threatened to cut the Game's career in professional wrestling. His return from injury, 2002. Just when all hope was lost for Triple H's career, he made a shocking return on January 7, 2002 at Madison Square Garden. Despite being a despicable heel before his sudden injury, the cerebral assassin became a fan favorite during his return. Triple H went on to win the Royal Rumble, but that's when it went all downhill from there. His crowning moment as a top babyface at WrestleMania 18 was completely overshadowed by The Rock vs. Hogan. He dropped the Undisputed Championship the following month and feuded with Jericho and Taker in the upper card. The fans liked Triple H, but he wasn't getting the same insane crowd reactions when he first returned. However, a shocking betrayal captured the fans' attention and it would make him regain his title as the most despicable human being in professional wrestling. Evolution 2003 to 2005. And that shocking betrayal happened to be against his former DX member Shawn Michaels. These two would have an exciting blood feud throughout 2002 that would see Triple H reign supreme as a World Heavyweight Champion by the end of the year. But if you thought Triple H was deplorable then, his run with Evolution would have you second guessing yourself. For 3 years, Ric Flair, Batista, Randy Orton and Triple H dominated WWE. The badass that wore jeans and leather turned that into fancy suits and shades, but this was also a time when Triple H notably wore his long john tights. Though that attire didn't last long, his reign of terror certainly felt like an eternity. Triple H was a classic heel who would cheat more often than not, but he would prove his worth as champion every now and then with a clean victory. Evolution was mainly about elevating Randy Orton and Batista, but say what you will about Triple H's reign of terror, but you hated the guy and wanted to see his ass beat every week. That's the mark of a fantastic heel. It also made the World Heavyweight Championship feel important. Evolution may not have been perfect, but it's a memorable run that will help catapult 2 future WWE champions. D-Generation X Revival 2006 to 2007. Evolution was officially done. After Triple H beat Ric Flair to a bloody pulp in a last man standing match, he set his sights back on the WWE Championship. Triple H and John Cena would fight for the prestigious belt at WrestleMania 22, but the cerebral assassin failed to dethrone the Doctor of Thugonomics. Triple H's quest for WWE Gold continued, but he lost every time. The Game would blame Vince McMahon and these two got into a heated rivalry. Now during this time, Shawn Michaels was also in an intense feud with Mr. McMahon. DX would officially reunite on June 12th, bringing back the fun-loving sarcasm and black and green attire with them. The duo fought against the Spirit Squad, Vince and Shane, and rated RKO throughout this short run. Unfortunately, their run came to a screeching halt when Triple H tore his right quadricep in a tag team match against rated RKO at New Year's Revolution. The King of Kings 2007 to 2009. The King of Kings returned at SummerSlam 2007 where he defeated everybody's favorite royal son, King Booker. It wouldn't take long for Triple H to win the WWE Championship, and now the 11-time world champion dominated both Raw and SmackDown. Triple H was a full ass-kicking babyface with plenty of sarcastic barbs to spare. This run was memorable for the awesome build to his WrestleMania 25 match against Randy Orton. Sadly, the match didn't live up to the hype, but his feuds with Edge and Jeff Hardy prevented this from being a terrible run. The era of the King of Kings was rather enjoyable. Triple H had plenty of great matches throughout his reign and was a likable babyface to root for. His WWE Championship run would end at Backlash 2009 in a six-man tag team match against Legacy. Triple H would then continue feuding with the faction throughout 2009, and he would gain help from a former ally along the way. Final DX run 2009 to 2010. The ally would be Shawn Michaels, who reformed DX with Triple H on the August 17th episode of Raw. You know how this DX thing goes, black and green attire with glow sticks and hornswoggle? When it came down to the in-ring aspect, DX was firing on all cylinders. Whether it was Legacy, Jericho, or even the incredible triple threat match that saw Michaels kick Triple H out of his boots, Michaels and Triple H didn't lose a beat when they reformed together. However, the duo couldn't escape the PG crutch that went against their rebellious nature in the 90s. Adding hornswoggle only made their segments cringy at times as well. On the bright side, Triple H and Shawn Michaels had an undeniable chemistry that made even the worst segments bearable because of their quick-witted banter and performances. The two would separate after dropping the unified tag team titles to The Miz and Big Show, but Triple H briefly got into a feud with Sheamus, but he tore his biceps during their street fight at Extreme Rules, which halted any plans Creative had for them going forward. Chief Operating Officer 2011 to 2013. Triple H returned a year later and had an epic no-holds-barred match against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 27. He disappeared for a while until July 18, 2011, when he fired Vince McMahon and took over as Chief Operating Officer. Triple H pulled double duty during this time, but he was mainly wearing suits and ties over wrestling tights for the first year as COO. This was the period of the infamous walkout of the entire Raw locker room. This was also the time when Kevin Nash returned and Awesome Truth was pushed as a top act, causing chaos and mayhem around the WWE locker room. Triple H was the babyface, but the story of the WWE stars having no faith in him as a COO was simply not good, and he was eventually fired from his on-screen duties and replaced with John Laurinaitis. Triple H's focus became inside the ring, where he somehow topped his previous match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 28. He then got into a feud with Brock Lesnar, and that rivalry carried him through WrestleMania 29, where the cerebral assassin took down the Beast and saved his career overall. The Authority 2013 to 2019. So Triple H beats Brock Lesnar and saves WWE. Naturally, the response is to turn him heel and watch the company burn on weekly television. That brings us to The Authority. Triple H turned heel on Daniel Bryan after his huge win over John Cena at SummerSlam 2013. The King of Kings was now supporting a buzz cut and had Stephanie McMahon join in on the evil fun. The Authority run was a mix of the McMahon-Helmsley era and the Evolution era. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were a magnetic duo who were easy to hate, but the Authority became more about them than the top champion, which was a gift and a curse. This run elevated Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, and even saw the debut of Sting. But the Authority was overexposed and their heel shenanigans eventually became frustrating. But still, Triple H had some great matches throughout his run as well. He created magic with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30, and he and Stephanie McMahon had an unforgettable banger against Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 34. The run had its ups and downs and certainly ran its course when the company tried to elevate Roman Reigns as their next Daniel Bryan, but this era cemented Triple H as an elite star who knew how to evoke a strong emotion from the crowd. Final run and retirement 2022. Triple H then turned face after his WrestleMania loss against Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle, and his final run was a trip down memory lane. He fought John Cena again, and this was also the time that him and Shawn Michaels took on the Brothers of Destruction at Crown Jewel 2018. He moved on to a feud with Batista and Randy Orton, with his final televised match being an unsanctioned fight against the latter on July 11, 2021 episode of Raw. In September 2021, rumors circulated about Triple H suffering from heart failure, and he had an ICD installed in his chest. The heart condition was eventually confirmed by Triple H himself, and he announced his retirement on ESPN's First Take on March 25, 2022. WWE would give him an emotional retirement segment on the second night of WrestleMania 38, where he left his wrestling boots in the middle of the ring to put a stamp on his professional wrestling career. These days, Triple H works behind the scenes as a head of creative, following the abrupt exit of Vince McMahon. Say what you will about the King of Kings, but Triple H has had a remarkable career that spanned nearly 3 decades. He's a certified Hall of Famer and a huge reason why the company is on an upswing at the moment. The evolution of Brock Lesnar. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. The arrival of the Beast, March 2002 to August 2002. On March 18, 2002, Brock Lesnar made his WWE television debut and destroyed Al Snow, Maven, and Spike Dudley in the process. Lesnar simply wore black trunks, and his purpose was to dismantle the lower card that effectively got the future WWE champion over. Lesnar would go on to win the 2002 King of the Ring, and he pulled off a not-so-shocking upset by clearly beating The Rock at SummerSlam 2002. Lesnar would go on to have a legendary feud against The Undertaker, where the two settled a score in a bloody and violent Hell in a Cell match at No Mercy 2002. WWE did a masterful job of building Lesnar into a credible main event star in less than 5 months. It also helps that Brock Lesnar looked the part. They wisely hid his weaknesses thanks to Paul Heyman, and Lesnar didn't feel like just another big man getting a push because of size. Lesnar was a star after his Hell in a Cell match against Taker, but some head-scratching booking decisions would take him down a different path. The surprise face turn November 2002 to WrestleMania 19. Lesnar dropped the Undisputed Championship against The Big Show at Survivor Series 2002. It was a double turn as Paul Heyman was the man that screwed him over. The booking of this was strange because Lesnar wasn't even a full year into his heel run, but luckily for WWE, fans embraced Lesnar as a babyface quickly. The former Undisputed Champion didn't change much as a face as he was still an ass-kicking machine. The future WWE Champion entered the 2003 Royal Rumble at number 29 and eliminated The Undertaker to earn his shot at WrestleMania 19. Lesnar wasn't the greatest at promos, but the guy had charisma and was simply entertaining to watch inside the ring. So when we got to Kurt Angle vs Brock Lesnar in the main event, it was a dream match between two accomplished athletes. All was going well until that infamous shooting star press botch, but the match finished on a strong note with Lesnar being crowned the new Undisputed Champion. Lesnar would feud with John Cena and The Big Show again before his loss to Kurt Angle killed his babyface run as the Undisputed Champion. Brock's second heel run 2003 to 2004. Lesnar would turn heel shortly after dropping the belt and regaining it from Angle in a classic Iron Man match. He reignited his feud with The Undertaker and eventually realigned with Paul Heyman. This was also the time the WWE was strongly teasing Brock Lesnar vs Goldberg. The build went into full swing when Lesnar gave Goldberg an F5 in the 2004 Royal Rumble. Goldberg returned the favor by spearing Lesnar during his title match against Eddie Guerrero. Mr. Lie, Cheat and Steal would capitalize off that moment and become the new Undisputed Champion for the first time in his career. But as for Lesnar, the stage was officially set. Him and Goldberg were primed to lock horns at WrestleMania 20. Stone Cold Steve Austin was added as a guest referee for good measure. The problem was that both Goldberg and Brock Lesnar were leaving, so naturally the company gave them a parting gift that they would never forget. Goldberg vs Brock Lesnar is considered one of the worst matches of WrestleMania's history. That match would be the last time we see Brock Lesnar in a WWE ring for nearly 10 years. Brock Lesnar returns and beats the streak 2012 to 2014. To the shock of fans, Brock Lesnar returned with a vengeance. He attacked Mr. Hustle loyalty and respect to cement his status as the company's top heel. Lesnar would officially return at Extreme Rules 2012, and the days of wrestling trunks were gone as he wore MMA-inspired shorts and had a new set of tattoos that made him even scarier. Lesnar's moves became a mix of MMA and wrestling that highlighted his power and striking, but in a very shocking upset, John Cena beat him after a bloody battle. Lesnar's final loss during this period was against Triple H in a no-holds-barred match at WrestleMania 29. Then WrestleMania 30 came around, the stage for The Undertaker to finally beat his longtime rival was set. But in a moment that nobody saw coming, Brock Lesnar pinned The Undertaker 1-2-3. It's still a controversial decision that leaves fans divided, but it did help re-establish that Lesnar is the face of the company moving forward. Brock Lesnar becomes the World Heavyweight Champion 2014 to 2016. Snapping The Undertaker's streak paid off strongly at SummerSlam 2014. It was John Cena vs Brock Lesnar again, but this time Lesnar took Cena to Suplex City. 16 suplexes and 2 F5s, and that's all she wrote for Mr. Hustle loyalty and respect. Lesnar would go on a dominant reign from that moment on. He had an incredible triple threat match against Cena and Seth Rollins at the 2015 Rumble. He even created magic with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31 before dropping the belt to Seth Rollins as he cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. The purpose of Lesnar's title run was clear, to put over Roman Reigns. But fans soundly rejected the former Shield member, so Lesnar was in a weird position where he couldn't be pinned because the WWE desperately wanted to take advantage of Lesnar's huge win over The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. He went through a bunch of side feuds against Seth Rollins, The Undertaker, Dean Ambrose, and Randy Orton before a huge WCW legend would put a wrench in those plans and gave Lesnar one of his best feuds since his return, the Universal Championship era 2016 to 2018. On October 10th, Paul Heyman challenged Goldberg on behalf of Brock Lesnar. It may have been 12 years since their match at WrestleMania 20, but that stinker remained fresh on the minds of fans everywhere. Lesnar and Goldberg wanted to change everyone's mind, and they surely did. Suplex City took a back seat to Destruction City as these two tore the house down at Survivor Series 2016. They did it again at WrestleMania 33, with Lesnar walking out as a new WWE Universal Champion. That started a year-long reign that featured the awesome rivalry with Samoa Joe. But the purpose was clear once again: put over WWE's favorite blue-eyed warrior Roman Reigns. After shocking the audience by having Lesnar violently beat Reigns at WrestleMania 34 and the Greatest Royal Rumble, Reigns would finally end Lesnar's year-long title run at SummerSlam 2018. But that coronation wouldn't last long. Reigns was forced to relinquish the belt due to his leukemia returning. Brock was back to being the top heel of the company, but one blonde-haired warrior would step up and take down the beast. Money in the Bank WWE Championship run 2019 to 2020. Suplex City wasn't enough to crush Seth Rollins' spirit. The Royal Rumble winner dethroned Lesnar at WrestleMania 35, and the beast would hibernate until Money in the Bank. Lesnar surprisingly replaced Sami Zayn in the ladder match and ran in just as Ali was on the cusp of winning. In an unexpected shift in Lesnar's personality, he became Beatbox Lesnar. He was still a heel and nothing changed inside the ring, but it appeared that Lesnar was finally coming out of his shell after playing the dominant badass for so long. Beatbox Lesnar wouldn't last long enough though, as he successfully cashed in his briefcase at Extreme Rules 2019. Lesnar would then drop the Universal Championship back to Rollins at SummerSlam the following month, but it would be the final time we see him with the WWE Gold. That came at the expense of Kofi Kingston, who lost his WWE Championship to Lesnar on the 20th anniversary of SmackDown. Lesnar would go on another dominant run as WWE Champion, but one Scottish warrior would make sure that the Beast Incarnate didn't rule the WWE landscape for long. Drew McIntyre established his dominance over Lesnar at the 2020 Royal Rumble and officially slayed the Beast at WrestleMania 36. Cowboy Brock Lesnar and final WWE run 2021 to 2023. Now, there were some questions about Brock Lesnar's future until he made his shocking return at SummerSlam 2021 by confronting Roman Reigns. Lesnar traded his sweatpants and shirt for a farmer attire with a beard and ponytail. The roles were reversed here. Lesnar was the babyface and Roman was the heel. The rivalry would extend to WrestleMania 38, where Lesnar entered as the WWE Champion and Reigns came in as Universal. But the Tribal Chief would emerge victorious and become the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Lesnar continued his face run until April 3rd, 2023. He turned on the American Nightmare and his cowboy days were long gone. He kept Cody busy until SummerSlam 2023, when the second generation star put a stamp on their rivalry by pinning him clean. It was the last time we would see Brock Lesnar inside of a WWE ring. There's no telling what the future holds for Brock Lesnar. Should he never return to the company, then he certainly had a Hall of Fame career. Brock Lesnar stood out from all of the big men that WWE usually pushed. His run in the UFC only helped boost his star power even further. Lesnar is a one-of-a-kind wrestler who's an important cornerstone of WWE history. The evolution of John Cena. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Mr. Ruthless Aggression, June 2002 to October 2002. The Ruthless Aggression era was in full swing, and Cena made his name known by answering an open challenge made by the one and only Kurt Angle. Cena looked like a classic SmackDown vs. Raw default character, as he wore a generic wrestling attire without any hint of personality to it. His style was pretty basic at this point. There were no 5 moves of doom or a 5-knuckle shuffle in sight. Following his impressive debut, the company gave Cena a decent push where he got a big win against Chris Jericho at Vengeance 2002. But it's clear that the company got bored of his bland characters as Cena randomly disappeared from television. This was an interesting period for John Cena, as a former WWE champion himself said that he was in danger of being fired from the company because he lacked personality. However, it took Stephanie McMahon and a couple of funky fresh beats for Mr. Ruthless Aggression to turn him into the Doctor of Thugonomics. Cena traded his 2K wrestling attire for jean shorts and a sports jersey to complete his heel transformation. The Doctor of Thugonomics came out rapping some solid bars before his matches, but Cena didn't just change his attire, as his in-ring style was more of a smash-mouth brawler with a couple of fancy moves like the FU. Though Cena was firmly slotted as a heel, the gimmick got firmly over with the fans because he tapped into the popular culture that Cena organically fit into. Cena's popularity elevated him into a prominent position as his first WWE Championship match was at Backlash 2003. Though he would lose, Cena would terrorize the upper card with his sadistic rhymes before turning babyface a year after debuting his Dr. Thugonomics gimmick. United States Championship run at WrestleMania 20 to 2005. John Cena finally won his first singles title by beating The Big Show for the United States Championship at WrestleMania 20. The Doctor of Thugonomics was in full babyface mode during this time as he kept expensive chains, jeans and jerseys, but he wasn't a smart-mouthed prick who clocked you in the face for no reason. This was also the time John Cena used his signature US title belt. He defended his belt for 136 days until Kurt Angle stripped him of the title. Cena would then beat Booker T again in the Best of 5 series to win back the US title at SummerSlam, but he wouldn't keep it for long. But that's because Cena lost it to a man who spits in the face of people who don't want to be cool. Cena took some time off to become a Hollywood action star, but by the time 2005 rolled around, Cena regained the US Championship and was said to move on to something much bigger. WWE Champion April 3rd, 2005 to January 8th, 2006. His journey to becoming a new WWE Champion started at the Royal Rumble when he and Batista were the two final participants in the 2005 Rumble. Though a botch would infamously have both men go over the top rope, Batista would punch his ticket to the grandest stage of them all by eliminating John Cena once the match restarted. But Cena's dreams of winning the big one at WrestleMania would become alive again when he beat Kurt Angle to win a WWE title match against JBL. During the build, he would drop the US belt to Orlando Jordan, but he would gain something much greater on April 3rd, 2005, the WWE Championship. Him and the Chain Gang were finally on top of the wrestling world. This was the hottest period for John Cena as a babyface, with him releasing a solid rap album that would make even Eminem proud. It was during that time that John Cena would come up with his iconic "You Can't See Me" taunt thanks to Tony Ayo and a dare from his brother. The Dr. Thugonomics would valiantly defend his belt against Christian, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels throughout the remainder of 2005. But something changed during this period and fans started to boo Cena. Cena was pushed hard as the company's top babyface and fans started labeling him as Super Cena. So when he dropped the title at New Year's Revolution to Edge, fans rejoiced over his title reign finally being over. But that celebration didn't last long as Cena would win back the belt at the Royal Rumble 3 weeks later. Still, most fans were over babyface Cena and they even rooted for the King of Kings to dethrone the WWE Champion at WrestleMania 22. That didn't happen, but John Cena finally lost his belt on one of the most infamous nights of his career, One Night Stand. A hostile crowd inside the Hammerstein Ballroom cheered uproariously when Rob Van Dam got the 1-2-3 and became new WWE and ECW World Champion. However, that wouldn't be the last time we would see Cena on top. Super Cena in full effect September 17th, 2006 to October 2nd, 2007. After a hot feud against Edge throughout the summer, John Cena would win the WWE Championship for the third time of his career at Unforgiven 2006. Cena still received a mixed reaction during this time, but his merch sales officially branded him as the top face of WWE. The problem with John Cena was never his wrestling ability, as for sure you could say his 5 moves of doom in your sleep, but Cena had incredible matches in his year-plus reign against Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton, and Umaga. Hell, John Cena even actually got a good match out of the Great Khali. But the formula for his matches got old quickly. He would usually take a beating for 90% of them before hitting his 5 moves of doom and getting the victory. This is how he got the Super Cena moniker because he seemed impervious to pain. But it wasn't just a stale formula as his babyface persona was rather bland. His snarky quips and nonchalant attitude often struck a chord with the hardcore fanbase. That's why most fans cheered when he was stripped off the belt due to suffering a torn pectoral muscle in his match against Mr. Kennedy. This officially ended the longest title reign in WWE since Randy Savage's run in 1988, but this wouldn't be the final time John Cena would be a world champion. The miraculous return and World Heavyweight Championship run June 27, 2008 to February 15, 2009. John Cena made his shocking return at the 2008 Royal Rumble and eliminated the game to solidify his spot at WrestleMania 24. Cena, Orton and Triple H would fight for the coveted WWE Championship at the big event, but a punt kick would effectively kill Cena's chances at regaining the prestigious title. Cena mainly spent time in the uppercard feuds during the summer of 2008 before another injury would take him out of action in September. but Johnny Boy was not entering 2009 without winning a world title. He made his epic return at Survivor Series and beat Chris Jericho for the World Heavyweight Championship. He wouldn't keep the title for long though, as after successfully defending it against Chris Jericho and JBL, the Ultimate Opportunist created an opportunity at No Way Out 2009 by taking out Kofi Kingston before the Elimination Chamber match and speared his way into victory, becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion. Never bet against Mr. Hustle loyalty and respect, however, as Cena won the title back at WrestleMania 25, but then he lost it again the following month at Backlash. All hope looked lost for our jean shorts warrior, but his never-say attitude would make him a WWE champion once again. John Cena vs. Evolution 2009 to 2010. Once John Cena ran through the Big Show and The Miz following Backlash, the future Hall of Famer set his sights on the WWE Championship. The problem? Randy Orton and legacy. Cena got another opportunity at Night of Champions in a WrestleMania 24 rematch, but the crafty Orton got the win after some legacy interference. But the rivalry between Orton and Cena was just beginning. The third-gen star beat him again at SummerSlam 2009, but the never say die attitude finally worked like a charm on September 13th as Cena made Orton say "I quit" to win back the championship. But then he lost it again at Hell in a Cell the following month. Orton and Cena would fight for quote-unquote one final time for the coveted belt, and it was a 60-minute Iron Man match at Bragging Rights. Cena emerged victorious after a grueling match, but the life of a WWE champion never stops after a single victory. Cena would defend his title against Triple H and Shawn Michaels next. The sweet chin music heard around the world didn't help Michaels secure the victory, as John would overcome the odds to retain his belt. Those odds weren't in his favor though at TLC, as he dropped the belt to Sheamus in a tables match. But Cena scratched and clawed his way back to the top at Elimination Chamber. Fortunately, Dave Bautista cut that victory short real quick, as the two would fight for the WWE title again at WrestleMania 26, with John avenging his loss at Elimination Chamber. Cena would then defend the belt 2 more times against Bautista, and all seemed good in the world of John Cena until a group of NXT delinquents changed the WWE landscape forever. Cena and the Nexus, June 7th, 2010 to January 30th, 2011. That group would be the Nexus, who had one of the most memorable moments in Raw history. The faction was a huge pain in the ass to John Cena, as the Nexus would cost him the WWE Championship at Fatal 4-Way and took out some of his best friends in a string of violent attacks. But Cena never gave up and fought valiantly against the dangerous group when they finally squared off in a 5-on-5 elimination tag match at SummerSlam. However, one DDT to the concrete floor seemed to spell doom for the former WWE champion. Unfortunately, this turned into one of those lol Cena wins moments when he eliminated both Wade Barrett and Justin Gabriel within just 3 minutes. And there was a lot of controversy surrounding the finish of the match, as rumors have it that John made the decision to put himself over the Nexus. Chris Jericho and Edge have come out and stated that it was in fact John's idea to beat the Nexus, but Barrett recounted his conversation with Vince McMahon about the match finish, and he was simply told that he wanted the kids to go home happy. Whatever the case may be, it killed the momentum that the Nexus had, and the next few months felt hollow because the group lost all of their heat. Cena losing to Barrett and joining the Nexus was a sound idea, but the execution didn't result in much of a compelling angle. Barrett would lose his WWE Championship match to Randy Orton with the help of John Cena at Survivor Series. The Nexus angle was killed further when John Cena beat Wade Barrett the following month at TLC. If that wasn't enough, Cena also ruined the new Nexus with CM Punk by eliminating most of the members in the 2011 Royal Rumble. John Cena, CM Punk, and The Rock, 2011 to 2013. With Nexus in his rearview mirror, John Cena's sights were set on the WWE Championship once again. However, The Rock made sure that didn't happen at WrestleMania 27. Their entire feud sparked over Cena criticizing The Rock's move to Hollywood. However, when Cena would regain the belt at Extreme Rules and successfully defend it against The Miz and R-Truth. Then CM Punk was next. The summer of Punk started with the unforgettable pipe bomb promo and his incredible feud against Cena. The summer of Punk continued when he beat Cena for the belt and cemented his status as a main event star. Cena would come extremely close to winning back the belt at Vengeance, but R-Truth and The Miz would cost him that opportunity, with Awesome Truth being pushed as a dangerous duo who couldn't be stopped by the normal WWE superstar. John Cena called an unlikely rival for help, The Rock. The Rock and Cena teamed together for the first time ever at Survivor Series and beat Awesome Truth, but The Rock was still sour about the comments Cena made about him, so he gave him a rock bottom once their partnership was over. The two would then finally clash at WrestleMania 28 as the People's Champ versus the former Doctor of Thugonomics headlined the biggest show of the year, with The Rock solidifying his iconic status with the rock bottom. These two would clash one more time at WrestleMania 29, though CM Punk almost derailed the huge main event. The Rock actually beat Punk for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. Punk had one final opportunity to fight the People's Champion at WrestleMania 29, however, but he had to go through John Cena to get it. Sadly, he failed, and The Rock vs. John Cena Part 2 was now a WWE Championship match. Cena would get the last laugh with an attitude adjustment, and this was a mark of a new era for John Cena as champion, though a surprising name would put an end to it very soon. The Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar problem, 2013 to 2015. Cena would successfully defend his belt against Ryback and Mark Henry, but dropped the WWE Championship to Daniel Bryan in a shocking clean win at SummerSlam. The former champion would take some time off to get surgery for a triceps tear, but John was a persistent man who refused to go the rest of the year without a world title. He returned at Hell in a Cell and beat Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship, but a title unification match against Randy Orton at TLC would put an end to his championship reign. He had a rematch for the new unified WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the Royal Rumble, but the Wyatt family would kill his dreams of entering WrestleMania 30 as a unified WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Bray Wyatt targeted Cena because he thought the former WWE Champion was a liar. The heroic master who used to do the thugonomics was putting on a facade for the past decade, and Bray set out to expose the real John Cena. Unfortunately, Bray failed to do that at WrestleMania 30, but the power of a demonic child and a bad autotune allowed for Bray to beat Cena at Extreme Rules. The two would settle their feud in a last man standing match the following month, where Cena regained supreme over the cult leader. John was back to chasing the world title and captured the WWE World Heavyweight Championship for the 15th time at Money in the Bank. Unfortunately for Cena, his next opponent was an unstoppable beast who just ended the Undertaker's undefeated streak. The rematch didn't go so well for Cena this time around, as Brock Lesnar destroyed him within 16 suplexes and 2 F5s within 17 minutes. Cena would try to recapture the WWE World Heavyweight title on 2 separate occasions, but he came up short both times. With his world title dreams dashed momentarily, John refocused on the US Championship, but he had to beat the undefeated Rusev in order to do so. Heel shenanigans prevented him from doing so at Elimination Chamber, but Cena won the belt for the 4th time in his career at WrestleMania 31. This would be the beginning of one of the greatest US title runs of the modern era. A fighting champion 2015 to 2016. Cena started a weekly open US challenge and helped elevate numerous names such as Dean Ambrose, Stardust, Bad News Barrett, Kane, Sami Zayn, Neville, Zack Ryder, and Cesaro. The matches were highly entertaining, and fans seemingly gained a newfound respect for Cena as they gave him the Kurt Angle treatment by chanting "John Cena sucks" to his entrance music. But the most newsworthy period during Cena's run was his battles against Kevin Owens. The former NXT champion had stellar chemistry with Cena and would produce back-to-back Match of the Year candidates. Seth Rollins would put a stop to Cena's US title reign at SummerSlam by winning a winner-takes-all match thanks to Jon Stewart, but Cena won it back the following month. His United States Open challenge resumed until Alberto Del Rio made his jaw-dropping return at Hell in a Cell and superkicked his way to a 3 count. Cena would disappear for a while after failing to win back the title several months later due to a shoulder injury, but the former US champion was the start of Cena's transitional period, putting over the next generation 2017 to 2020. The last couple of years saw John Cena notably taking more clean losses. The US champion was a pivotal point for Cena's career. Granted, he was still the goofy babyface in jorts, in colourful shirts that said "never give up," but that seemed to be a transitional period for Cena, helping out the new generation. AJ Styles was the next on the list to get the rub from the former WWE champion, and these two had an excellent feud that was capped off by a memorable match at SummerSlam 2017. Cena would ultimately beat Styles at the 2018 Royal Rumble to capture his 16th world title, but the championship reign didn't last long as he dropped the belt to Bray Wyatt at Elimination Chamber just 2 weeks later. John was sidelined with a rivalry against The Miz and Maurice for WrestleMania 33, but he got back to helping the younger generation by reigniting his feud with Rusev and fighting Baron Corbin at SummerSlam. But his biggest purpose was to put over WWE's next Hulk Hogan, Roman Reigns. The Blue-Eyed Warrior and Cena came out of the gate swinging with a shoot promo that was talked about for weeks. Then Roman finally fought Cena at No Mercy. For nearly 25 minutes, these two went to war in a match clearly designed to put over Reigns as the next big thing. That continued when he endorsed Becky Lynch and lost a cinematic rematch to Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 36. Cena's time was coming up inside of the ring, and the former WWE champion was using his status and star power to make sure that the company was in good hands 10 years from now. Hollywood has taken over 2020 to present. Remember when Cena criticized The Rock for his full transition into Hollywood? Yeah, that comment aged like milk. Though the former WWE champion has since apologized for his past comments, his time in WWE has greatly diminished. Though to be fair, John Cena isn't the same man that declared ruthless aggression in 2002. Father Time has claimed another WWE veteran, though Cena does what he can to continue putting over the next generation of talent. His appearances these days are sporadic, but the 16-time world champion has had big money matches against Roman Reigns, Austin Theory, and Solo Sikoa. These weren't the classics that defined Cena's work in the mid-2000s, but there's no doubt that he's committed and loyal to the WWE brand despite his obligations to Hollywood. Cena has teased retirement recently, though the jury is still out on when he plans to hang up his boots for good. Whether you loved or hated John Cena, there's no denying the passion and dedication he has for the professional wrestling business. It wouldn't be shocking if the Peacemaker was in the Hall of Fame within the next 5 years. But there you have it, folks. Who should we do next? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.